want dis ons land, dis ons taal, en sonder soek kan ons gaan stories haal. Waar we lewe in die tuine hooggebouw uit sand, die helder see en die goue straat, die landskap wat oor generasies vertel, die harte wat in ritme met die golwe val. Ons land, ons taal.
In Kletskompas se are klop die rugby ook sterk. Onlangs is 'n legende in ons land, Jacques Burger, aangestel as die nuwe direkteur van Rugby Namibië. Oral agter die skerms sê hulle hierdie is die man wat dinge gaan regryk. Daarom deel ons 'n langer gedeelte uit sy onderhoud laat in November met die Namibiese media. Net hierna gesels die Warrior.
So there's a lot of things that needs to be finalized, but there's a couple of games that we still waiting for the outside competition to say, listen, it's a go ahead or not. A lot of it depends on the funding we have available. We won't be touring anywhere before the African Cup, before the World Cup qualifiers start. So we've got two games that has been confirmed. That's the Bulls and the Stormers games. That's going to be in June, before our games again in Uganda for the qualifiers, which is going to be extremely important. Hopefully by that time we'll have all our foreign-based players back in, ready to go. So in regards to the local league, there's a competition being set up that's going to be like a knockout competition that needs to be pushed hard. I think a lot of the local players need that exposure, need more game time. I think that's the main thing for all of us is we need to get on the pitch. We need to play as much as possible in order to get better, and to give the guys something to look forward to. If you keep on working, you've got a plan set ahead, and if there's no games, no matches, then it's tough to keep guys motivated. So there's hopefully everything falls in place and a few new things come. I've spoken to a few people. Hopefully we can organize a couple more games. Like I said, being on the rugby pitch is extremely important. We need time on the pitch to get better.
Right, and tell us your contacts with our players abroad, because you did mention previously that you want them to play for Namibia, to try to play for their country. So will you be able to get them back, and are there any other maybe names we don't know of abroad?
Listen, it's extremely important. I think it's something we've neglected over the years is how important our players are to us, and that relationship between us and our players is something that we work on extremely hard since I've started. I've contacted most of the players. There's still a couple of guys who I'm struggling to get hold of with their phone numbers, but basically explaining to them, listen, this is our plan forward, and that we put our trust in them and we believe in them, and they're making us proud, because that's the honest truth. We have so many great talented players out there, and if we can get that relationship and that sense of trust and the honesty, and we can get that through to them and show them that we're here to make a difference, we're doing things different than it was done in the past, then the feedback I've gotten so far is extremely positive. It's about putting the things that was in the past, is to draw a line through it and say, listen, this is done. This is how it was done in the past, and this is how we're going to do it now. We're going to treat you guys unbelievably well. We had a saying at Saracens when I was still playing overseas is that the only agreement was from the club was we're going to treat you extremely well, and in return we want you to work unbelievably hard. That was set in stone. That's the only thing. They look after you, and or you look after them, and they'll give you the returns. And that's a promise I'll make to the players, that I'll look after them wherever I can, and make sure that they're valued. And when we get on the rugby pitch, you'll see a team definitely that's going to play with a lot of heart, a lot of passion, and we're going to be a bunch of guys who care for each other. I think that's the main thing. Is we need to know each other's girlfriends, wives' names. We need to know their kids. We need to really form that family bond that's going to take us further than just developing your skills and the way you play in your game plan. It's something more than that. It's a mental aspect of things. You work so much harder if you really believe in something and you feel that you're doing it for somebody that you really care about.
Right. On that point, caring, looking after the players, but if you look at the bottom line, the financial aspect, the NRU doesn't have a lot of funds, so and our top players are pros. So do you think they'll come down? And financially, how does it look for them?
Yeah, I think that'll always be the challenge, especially now the early stages. I do believe that we'll make some good connections over the years, and we'll get some good local support, because without the local support, I've said that before, and the sponsorships, we won't be able to do this. We won't be able to make a huge success out of this if we don't have that support. We still try, we'll still do our best, but the long and the short, it's tough to get those guys back when they play, have a contract with their club. It pays their salary every month, and to bring them back, we need to look after them. That's the long and the short of it. We need to look after them. We need to make sure that their medical, everything is sorted out in that sense, that how they get here, and then make it worth their while. And that is the challenge. But we'll get there. I believe we can get the funds available and make sure that we look after our players from the outside and make sure they have everything they need when they do come back here and to perform well. So the funds, I believe, will be available when the people start supporting us. They have always supported us, but when sponsors come to us and say, listen, we trust in what you're doing, we can see there's something special happening, and we want to be involved. Zimbabwe, hats off to them, what they've done. They've showed to the people from the outside, to their foreign players, listen, we've got a shot. They smell blood in the water, so let's put Namibia away. So they've put everything into all the eggs into one basket. They're going to be extremely hyped up, and they're going to be well prepared. They've just played 2 tests abroad, one against Korea and one against the UAE. So they're busy, they're active. They obviously have the funds to go on tour, so there's good things happening there. And they've got a rugby culture as well. They love their rugby. They've always loved their rugby, and a lot of their players have represented South African teams in South Africa. And but you can't just look past. You have to look past Zimbabwe on their own. There's Kenya who can hurt you on a day that you're off, or you decide to play the way they play, throw the ball around, do silly things, and they can punish you because they're athletes. I think that's the big thing about Africa. The only downfall, I think, for African rugby along the years was their game management. They've got these incredible athletes, pace, power. They can play rugby, but the game management, the way they deal with pressure, the way they get out of certain situations, that's the thing that always that how we could keep them at bay. I think if we can focus on that, and improve our players, like I said, fitness levels and the way we play, our skills, everything, then I'm very, very positive about the qualifying route.
Maybe just from my side, lastly, Jacques, you mentioned the Stormers and the Bulls that you're preparing for. Maybe to the average Namibian that would look against the Bulls and the Stormers as just an average club. What does the benefit of playing against that type of club have for the Namibian national team?
Yeah, I think you can organize a lot of games against lesser quality teams, which is good to get on the pitch, but you need to be tested, and tested against teams like the Bulls and the Stormers who've shown along the years, the amount of depth they have in their squad, and everybody, they have a sense, they know exactly how they want to play. They're well prepared. They've got the best coaches in the world. They've got the best players. South African rugby is extremely healthy. So just to get that exposure and to be playing against the top, some of the top rugby players in South Africa is going to be very, very valuable for our players. Even if you take a loss, I think we have to start somewhere. We have to build from somewhere. So we're going to lose along the way. It's inevitable. It's sport. It's rugby. But we're going to grow. We're definitely going to grow, and we're going to get better. And we're going to be tough to put away. I think that's the main goal. Is that we should be a team that's extremely tough to put away. Doesn't matter how good the opponents are. They need to absolutely work their hearts out to finish us on the rugby pitch. And that's hopefully that's the heart and the quality of our team that we can produce. And I'm sure with the help of everybody around, our coaching squad, everybody will get there. And obviously our players, we've got very, very talented youngsters in this country. We can't always give them the opportunities that they deserve, but that's part of why I'm here, and everybody that's involved with this setup now is around to create those opportunities for those players.
E-ticket, your online ticket solution for events and event marketing, bringing you ease of mind and making sure that your event gets out there. For more information, contact events@nmh.com.na.
I'm not happy with the way development's going at the moment. I think we have to do a lot more to first off expose new people to rugby, and then obviously when we have those players in our sites, is to keep track of them, like having a lineman camp where you have all your talented youngsters in camps. We can make sure you track them along the way, you have contact with them regularly, and be part of their development. It's at this current stage, schools do a lot. I think there's a lot of schools who have good rugby setups, but there's a lot of schools who don't have the funding to really look after their players. So we have to find that connection between those schools and make sure we give those kids, everybody in Namibia. It doesn't matter if you're in a top school or a school with smaller finances, give them the opportunities to prepare well and to make sure you have them on your list and you know exactly where they are skill level, how you can improve on what, keeping that communication open. And part of that is coaching the coaches. I think that is the main thing. We don't have a squad of 20 coaches we can send out through the country. We don't have the finances at the moment to do it, but the plan is to eventually have everything in place that you can continuously have development setups around the country where you can keep getting new people involved in rugby, expose them to the game, and also develop them, for future Namibia. So coaching our coaches and getting them the right education, level 1, level 2 coaching courses is definitely something that we need to focus on extremely, and that we will work on in order to lift the level of rugby in our youngsters as well.
You mentioned that companies will come on board as time comes. How do you envision, though, to engage with businesses to renew their confidence and support in Namibië Rugby especially? Yeah,
that's a challenge. I think we have burned a couple of bridges over the years, if we have to be honest with ourselves. We've lost a lot of trust, and we need to be transparent in what we do. They need to see that something is actually happening, and they're getting their money's worth. We need to make it special for them as well to be involved. Match days, the way we treat them, the way we get them involved in what we are and what our values are as Namibian Rugby. We need to be honest with them, and that honesty between players and the relationship we want to build with the players. We need to build that with our sponsors and with everybody, the people who come and support us every weekend. And if we can get that trust and that like I said, the transparency and the honesty, I think people will get on board. And obviously the passion we have for the game and for this country. We live in an unbelievable country. I make a point of it every time I talk to somebody from outside Namibia and in Namibia to tell them, listen, how amazing Namibia is, and we can be part of that, and the Namibian rugby should be part of that. We should be part of inspiring young kids to play for Namibia and to be proud of this beautiful country that we have. So hopefully that answers your question.
Just one last question. What challenges do you foresee in your role as a director?
No, nothing. It's going to be extremely easy. It's plain sailing. No, there's going to be a lot. I think, like we spoke about, the finances is always an issue. Small things. We want to, in order to treat our players well, we need to make sure they have the right meals when they're done with training. They have the right equipment. They have an ice bath. Small things that make sure that they're well prepared for training and after, and also the recovery period, that we look after them in that sense. And I think the other challenge is that a lot of people will sit on the outside, and I was one of them, to say, listen, it's a mess. I don't want to do that job. It's a mess. I don't want to get involved. But I said to myself, listen, if we keep standing on the outside and saying, listen, I'm not happy with how this is done, but you're not willing to get involved yourself, then we're not going to make change. That I think if everybody in this country, all the supporters, has that same intent and that same pride, and I know it's going to take time. I know you can't just sell something peanuts and they're going to buy it. The price is going to be right, but we will get them passionate about us. We will inspire them and get them involved. But everybody needs to. We need everybody's support in order to make this a huge success.
Maurice at New Era newspaper. I have 4 questions, but then I'll tie them. So the first one is, what is your most memorable match, and what do you miss about playing rugby?
Well, rugby is one of those sports you'll always miss it. Doesn't matter if you play in level 6 or level 1 international. Once it's part of your DNA and the values of what rugby teaches you, the friendships you make, like I said, the values, the honesty, the work ethic it creates. So I obviously miss rugby extremely much. That's why it's such a great opportunity to now have a second opportunity to actually do something in rugby that's going to be that's special. That's something I think even more valuable than when you're in your playing days. So it's exciting to be part of rugby again. In regards to special matches, obviously every time you wear an Namibian shirt is special. When you stand out there, what makes our country so great is that we're so connected in a way. You always, when you play out there singing your anthem, the guy next to you, somebody knows his cousin or has worked with his aunt or whatever the case. We're all closely connected in some way. So when you stand out there and you represent your country and you sing that anthem, you're representing so many people. I know you're representing everybody, but so many people actually know who you are, and that's really special. I think that's something we can really use to our advantage. And obviously, as a special match, I've played a lot of special matches, but for Namibia itself, the game against the All Blacks was one of the special ones. Just to play against a team like them and to be able to face the Haka. And in England, where we had most of the support playing that game, which was great as well, and getting to score that try. Always spoke about the small victories. When you're playing against a team like the All Blacks, there's a good possibility that you might lose today, but there's so many small victories throughout the game where you can really build on and improve for the future. Winning a ruck, or making a good tackle, or defending for 5 minutes on your goal line, all small victories that you could take away from those experiences. So, but there's been so many. I've played against the Springboks a couple of times, lost by 100 points against the Springboks, which wasn't a very fun memory for me that day. But we've played against Wales. We've played against really, really top teams in the World Cup, which is great, and hopefully we can create some more opportunities for the current players now.
Neopaints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neopaints commits to our quality guarantee, and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neopaints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
You were into farming, we're still into farming. You are still into farming, I believe.
Yeah.
So how will those two play out for you?
Well, for everybody, luckily you're a farmer, so you know, it's not easy. It's not easy, especially in the climate we have today, but it keeps you humble, you know, and I think that's very similar to rugby. Whenever you think you're bigger than the game or bigger than somebody else, and your image or your or you think you're better than somebody else, then you get knocked down. And that's the same thing with farming. It makes you tough, you know. It keeps you humble, keeps you on your knees, keeps your head up, and you know, if without God and the blessings from above, then nothing's possible, you know. And that exactly the same with going out on a rugby pitch. It's extremely tough out there, you know. It's one of the toughest games in the world. And if you're out there and you think you're doing it on your own, then you're going to make a big mistake, and you're going to learn a few lessons. And I've learned that through farming and through rugby. So I'm used to going through tough times, you know. And every time somehow you pick yourself back up and you dust yourself back off, and you're back in the game. So hopefully those two things can teach you some valuable lessons along the way.
What are your short-term and long-term goals for the team?
Yeah, like we said, short-term goals is we have to qualify for the World Cup. That's the long and the short. It's not going to be the end of the world. It's not going to be. It's thinking about it makes me nervous. But I mean, we have to qualify for the World Cup, and I believe we have the players and we have the right coaching staff and the management to do that. And but it doesn't end there. No, we have to. Even if that worst case scenario we don't qualify, rugby's not going to die. It's not going to end. We have to pick it up, and we have to make sure that we get things in place that will get the next World Cup qualifying route. We have everybody ready going, and that is our. So the important things that we need to focus on in the long term is going to be our development, the way we look after our young players, the way we keep track of where they are, where they go, and their level of play, their skill set, you know, to keep improving the young players. We have to focus on our under 20s. It's extremely important that we get a great coaching, the best we can, coaching set up in the under 20s coaching team, so we can keep those youngsters and get them through, get that path open to the senior team. And basically we want to have similar values to the national team, so we can make sure when the guy steps up and is ready to play for the senior team that is well prepared. So, and then winning back the hearts of the people is the big challenge. You know, I want to see Namibian youngsters wearing Namibian shirts, you know, saying, yes, I want to play for Namibia. I'm extremely proud to be Namibian. And then coming out on a Saturday and seeing these stands full of Namibian supporters, and the bright place is in the back corner. You can smell it, and there's just good spirits all around, and there's a great atmosphere. That's the things I dream about, and I'm very, very, very excited about that future and that challenge to get that done, and I'm sure it's going to happen.
Okay, last question. Do you believe we have the depth as a team, like a national team, to get us the first win at the World Cup?
I believe
if we happen to qualify.
Yeah, if we happen to qualify, first off, like I said, first mission is qualifying. 100%. We're not looking past anybody. We're not gonna underestimate anybody. We're gonna put in the hard work and make sure we're good to go. And in regards to, I think the challenge also is within the local players to shorten that gap between the local players and the players from the outside who are in professional setups. Which is understandably they get better coaching, they get better facilities, they improve quite a lot on the outside, and getting our local based players close to where they are.
Have you got your Christmas gifts sorted? With Enjoy, you'll be everyone's favorite gift giver. Visit our website now and book accommodations across Namibia, from the rugged dunes of the south to the luscious riverbanks of the north. Feeling coastal? We've got you covered there too. Relax, unwind, go on a safari, or chase thrills in Swakopmund. With us, you're sure to find the perfect gift. Give the gift of adventure this Christmas. Visit enjoy.my.na today.
Volgende maandag gesels ons weer rugby wanneer Outes Vink sportjoernalis en mede-kommentator gaan terugkyk op die afgelope seisoen.